Hey there, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to do something very special, one of my favorite dishes of all time. My mom's apple pie. You know, by the time we're done, you're going to say, oh my, to this apple pie. Come along, it's me, I'm Vince, I'm the man with the fork. Let's get cooking. Before we start, I have to put on my apron. Whenever I build a pie, I want to start out with the crust. The reason for that is we want to chill it in the fridge before we make our filling. We will start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that we'll add 1/3 cup of white sugar. I would typically add about a tablespoon of salt, but right now I'm going to use salted butter. So we'll skip the salt for this step. Now would actually be a great time to season the actual dough. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of cinnamon. And a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Let me go ahead and sift that up. And we'll get our fats together. I'll set that aside. I'm using a couple of sticks of butter. This butter is chill. Came right out of the fridge. I'm adding it right into the flour like that. Now for this you could use shortening, but since this is a luxurious pie, I'm going to use lard. That would be 3 tablespoons. There actually aren't any apples in this right now. Not yet. But with the nutmeg and the cinnamon, it already smells like an apple pie. The key here is to be able to incorporate the butter and the shortening or lard until you end up with something that's about the texture of fine wet sand. Right there. That's the texture that you're looking for. At this point we'll get 1 egg. To the egg I will add about 1 cup of milk. And we'll mix that together. So to our dry ingredients over here, we're going to incorporate some of our milk and egg mixture, a little bit at a time. You want to make sure they have just enough moisture that you can form a very loose ball, just like that. And we'll start working our dough. See how it comes together, but it still wants to crumble under the lightest pressure? If it's a little dry like that, feel free to add just a little bit more of that egg and milk mixture. I'm going to form 2 balls of dough. One of them will be for the bottom part, and the other half will be for our top shell. Get some plastic wrap. Get that around our ball of dough. Bring it around tight. Get our other ball of dough ready. Get that wrapped around like that. It's perfect. And then we're going to put these 2 guys into the freezer to chill for a few minutes. We'll be back.
A few minutes later.
To our 4.5 pounds of apples, a tablespoon of flour, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, add the juice of 1 lemon. Now toss in some beautiful brown sugar. Fold that in, get things coated, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, a good dash of kosher salt, and yes, 1 more stick of butter. At this point we're gonna take this and we're gonna cook it down. I'll put it under medium heat, make sure nothing burns. You're gonna get a lot of liquid come out of this. We don't want to have the apples fall apart. but we do want to sweat it out a little and get things incorporated. Now is the fun part. We're going to actually put together this pie. I pulled the dough out of the freezer. I'm going to dust my surface a little bit here. Get my weight in there. We'll take the rolling pin and we'll dust this off a little bit too. Work this out into a disc. Trying to get about 1/8 of an inch. If it starts to stick, shake it off a little bit. Add a bit more flour. It's as even as it can be. That looks like it'll fit the pie plate. Okay. And using a spatula, try to release that from our rolling surface. Get that on top of it as best as we can. Oh, there you go. See? It's like working with Play-Doh. If you see something that's got a hole on it, patch it. See that pie? That's the bottom shell. We'll get our next piece. Since our pie is built up high, you want to get as much of the sheet going as possible. We are going to scoop our partially cooked apples. If you're concerned about the moisture, you can actually use a slotted spoon. Or in this case, use one of these guys. We're going to attempt to roll this right back over it. Here we go. Yes. Let's finish crimping the edges. I just like to use my fingers, so let's do that. So this is the egg wash that we set aside from earlier. We're going to baste our pie with that egg wash. It'll give it a nice sheen as it bakes. It'll come out nice and golden, beautiful brown. Okay, so now would be a good time to add some vents to this pie. As it starts to bake, you're going to get steam. So we're going to give that steam a way to get out. We're going to cut a few slits. That way, it will not blow apart. We're going to put this onto a baking sheet. Let's start baking this pie at 400 degrees for 15 minutes and knock down the temperature to 375 for another 50 minutes. Let's take the leftover juices, bring it back to the stove, reduce them, and make a delicious apple butter. We will see you shortly.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Here's the pie. It's come hot out of the oven. It's the perfect height. We're going to just put some of that nice, delicious, warm apple butter right on top of the pie. Right on top of the pie. Moment of truth. Ooh, okay. Let's make the perfect bite. It tastes like Christmas. Oh my. That's some good apple pie. As we gather around the table with our family and our friends, make sure you save room for this guy. This lovely apple pie. And when you're making it, always remember, put in a little cheer, put in a little joy, and always put in a lot of love. Have a great season, everyone. I'll see you next time.